After Higuruma joins the Culling Games, which is a battle royale between thousands of sorcerers, he keeps perfecting his curse technique and learning more about how it works until he takes a rest in a bathtub with all of his clothes on in the middle of an abandoned stage, and is surprised when a boy with pink hair walks in and asks him for all of his points so they can end the games early and stop the violence. Higuruma denies Yuji and tells him he wants to keep the games going, and when Yuji tells Higuruma that he will give him his 100 points, the lawyer steps out of the bathtub and summons his Judgment Shikigami behind him as Yuji prepares himself for whatever Higuruma has coming, and Higuruma just stands there and says, "Domain expansion." In the domain filled of a simulated courtroom, all violence on both sides is forbidden, and a trial must happen where Higuruma gets a folder full of evidence and the opponent has to prove their innocence to Judgment to get free from the domain. However, if they lose, Higuruma can place a punishment on them based on the weight of their crimes, or even gain an insane power to execute them. However, when Yuji loses his first trial, Higuruma takes away all of his cursed energy, and this makes it so that Higuruma's attacks on Yuji do extra damage since Yuji can't reinforce his body at all. So Higuruma summons a large gavel that he can freely control the size and length of and slams it into Yuji, sending him flying through the theater they're in. However, Higuruma begins to notice that Yuji is actually pretty sturdy as he continues his attacks, pushing Yuji back with a combo of slams that keep him on his toes before turning the gavel into a whip to reel Yuji in for another attack. Higuruma continues to attack as he thinks to himself that it's like he's fighting some sort of indestructible doll, but Yuji finally realizes the way out of the situation as he calls for a retrial and gets sent right back into Higuruma's domain, as the narrator reveals that Yuji is allowed to have 2 retrials that Judgment cannot deny. However, the charges each time will be different from before, and this time his charges are the mass slaughter of everyone in Shibuya, which at first shocks Yuji. However, what's more shocking is the fact that Yuji instantly admits to doing this, causing Judgment to sentence Yuji to the harshest penalty possible, execution, as it confiscates his cursed energy one more time and gives Higuruma the power of the execution blade, a blade made of light that has the power to kill anyone it touches in just one hit, which is likely to be extremely effective against someone with no cursed energy to defend themselves or use their domain to overwhelm the ability. Higuruma yells at Yuji, telling him that all people are flawed and hideous as he goes on the attack again, and Yuji begins to dodge and throw chairs at Higuruma to keep him at bay. However, as the battle nears its end, Yuji does an amazing leg sweep that Higuruma dodges as he swings his sword downward towards Yuji, ready to take his life, but something is wrong. Higuruma is having doubts in this moment because, like we've explained, when he uses his domain expansion and puts someone on trial, the evidence that Judgment knows about the person's life is shared with Higuruma without him actually having to open and read the file. So when Yuji is charged with ending the lives of everyone in Shibuya, Higuruma instantly knew that this was done by Sukuna and not Yuji, and mentally prepared himself for a court trial where he'd blame Yuji for doing this to try and win. However, when Yuji instead took the blame for it and he saw how sincere he was, that he really believed those deaths were his fault, it caused Higuruma's heart to falter, as he deactivates his ability thinking, why? And he takes the hit from Yuji right in the center of his chest, getting thrown across the room as Higuruma is completely given up. However, Higuruma says Penal Code Article 39, Section 1. If a person lacks cognitive ability or capacity of control, they are considered unable to think for themselves properly, meaning you had no control over your actions. At the same time, you didn't willingly give over control to Sukuna, you were forced to by being fed Sukuna's fingers in Shibuya. Yuji looks shocked, saying, "How do you know all of this?" as Higuruma lays down defeated, saying, "You're innocent. You're not at fault." Yuji says it's still his fault because he was too weak to do anything about it, which makes Higuruma think long and hard, saying, "Is that so?" as he tells Yuji that he's going back to his roots because there are probably people out there right now like Yuji who can't control themselves and think everything is their fault also. So he'll give Yuji his 100 points as he adds a new rule to the Culling Games, allowing points to be traded among players, and ventures out to go and figure out what he's meant to do as Yuji gains a new ally.